Hi guys, my name's Garrett. I'm a home brewer, and in this video I'm going to show you how to set up a two-stage dry hop in a low oxygen environment using basic brewing equipment. So obviously you got to brew a beer, and you might do a pale ale, IPA. I'm doing a cream ale here. I've been doing a lot of cream ale and rice lagers this summer because they're just very beery, they're easy to drink, they're cheap to make, and I'm going to be adding dry hop, which is not per either of the styles. But I've got a ton of flower hops in the freezer, and I'm getting ready for the 2024 harvest. And I guess at the end of the day, I'm one of those guys that's smoke if you got them, so an ounce or two won't hurt for dry hop. I'm keg fermenting, and I'll be using a floating dip tube, and I recommend using a floating dip tube as it opens you up to additional possibilities, and it just makes your home brewing life a little bit easier. In order to set up for stage one of your dry hop in your fermentation vessel here, being the keg, you'll need to come up probably a little bit less wort, say 4.25 gallons instead. With your cooled wort, you'll get a hop bag, you'll fill it with hops, and these sous vide magnets work really well. So you drop the hop bag with the magnet in there, connect them together, pitch your yeast, seal your lid, and then at the end of fermentation you have two choices. You can dry hop at warm temperature or room temperature by just pulling this magnet up and then the bag will fall, or you can put it in the fridge, wait 24 hours, and you get the ability to cold dry hop. It's your choice. Also in the fridge, you could fine in the same vessel before transfer to the serving vessel, in which case you could dry hop again. Something to consider though, because you need that extra head space with the kreuzen and you have your hop bag in here, what you might consider, more beer makes a 6-gallon torpedo keg. So then with wort, you could come into that 6-gallon keg, 5.25 gallons of wort, again the hop bag suspended, and then by the time you lose it to trub and yeast and you transfer to the serving keg, you'll end up with a flush 5-gallon kegs in the serving keg for dry hop number 2. Since I'm just making the low octane cream ale, I'm going to forego the stage 1 dry hop and just focus on stage 2 in the serving keg. Okay, so we're going to use, to prep for the second stage dry hop in the serving keg over here, I filled it 100% full with sanitizer. And what this will do is we're going to hook a gas to gas jumper from the fermentation vessel, which is going to shoot its CO2 through the gas port here into the gas port here. I'm going to put on a liquid jumper on the liquid port of the serving keg, and this is going to be open-ended, and it's going to dump its sanitizer into the bucket here, which I'll discard. After it releases all the sanitizer and puts it into the bucket, then I will pop the lid, put the dry hops in there with the floss, and then put the spunding valve on this side, so it'll pressurize both containers with CO2, and I'll have the suspended dry hop here ready for when I need to push the clear beer from here into the serving vessel. So overnight, active fermentation pushed all the sanitizer out of the eventual serving keg into this bucket here. So now it's time to depressurize, open this up, and dry hop with the hop bag and dental floss, and then slap a spunding on it. People make a big deal about using the unscented dental tape variety of dental floss, but really if you think about it, it's not making any contact with your beer because it's just suspending the bag. And as long as you can get a good seal, I think everything is fair play. After the dry hops are in the serving keg, I'm going to disassemble the jumper. Instead of going from gas to gas, I'm now going to go from gas on the fermenting vessel to liquid on the serving vessel. So what it's going to do is going to shoot CO2 through the dip tube down low, and then I'm going to slap a spunding on the gas side, allowing it to further purge out any O2 that I may have introduced via dry hop. The beer is finished fermentation and I've got it in the keezer cooling right now, but there are a few tools that you'll need in order to accomplish moving the finished beer from the fermentation vessel over to the serving keg, and this is how I do it. Because I don't like to mess with the setting on my primary regulator, I'll use my paintball regulator here, and anywhere between 3 and 10 psi should do you all right. You're going to need to fashion a liquid jumper. I've got liquid disconnects on each side, and then some 1/4" OD John Guest push fit there. And on the receiving keg, you can use your thumb just to depress the poppet every 15 or 20 seconds. However, a better solution is to either use a check valve, which is 2 to 3 psi, or a spunding valve. But no matter what you decide to use on the receiving keg gas post, remember that the pressure from your CO2 needs to exceed the pressure of your check valve or your spunding valve. This is my fermentation keg and this is my serving keg. So first thing, I will hook up the gas source to the fermentation vessel. As that pressurizes, I'm going to hook up my little jumper here. And because it's pressurized, it's going to push beer up here, and I will intentionally allow the air to escape and let it fill as to not introduce any extra oxygen to the serving vessel. Then I'll hook the liquid up here. So remember, liquid to liquid jumper, it's going to fill, and as it reaches equilibrium, it'll stop. That's where the spunding valve comes in. So you can hear it percolating going down the dip tube a little bit. And then, see, that CO2 is accumulating. That's a little bit more than I want as far as PSI goes, so I'll slap on my spunding instead. And then as that pressure builds up, you'll hear this gurgle eventually. Okay, so now you see the bubbles coming and it's losing liquid there. You pull that off, pull both disconnects off. Don't need the gas anymore, and on the serving keg, you can remove that. There's only one thing left to do, is to put it on tap and see what it looks like. This lightly dry hopped cream ale is the perfect summer brew. It's easy to brew, cheap to make, and built for mass consumption. And the low oxygen dry hop just ensures it'll stay fresher for longer.